Hey there, students. When we've looked at the Constitution versus the Articles of Confederation, we've seen that the Constitution creates two new branches of government, the executive branch and the judicial branch. Each of these branches is fully independent from the legislative branch. Now remember, under the Articles of Confederation, you just had Congress, and any executive action was directly linked to Congress. Congress was in control of everything. And of course, the legislative branch is the branch that is the most Republican in form, the one that is most directly responsible to the people. And so Hamilton had the task of justifying why these two additional branches exist and why they should have power independent of the other two branches. In Federalist 70, Hamilton explained the advantages of a unitary executive, having one person in charge of the entire executive branch. Now, in Federalist 78, Hamilton has the task of persuading the people of the state of New York that an independent judiciary is a good thing. Now, what do we mean by an independent judiciary? We mean a judiciary that operates outside of the political process, that has a minimal amount of influence that is not directly responsive to political concerns. Note that judges serve on good behavior, okay? Now, what good behavior means is basically for life unless they are removed from the bench by the impeachment process, or they die or retire, of course. Well, of course, that's for life, but still. Okay, so with that, why is it that we would trust people with that much power? Why is it that we would want people serving on good behavior that weren't elected in the first place? So the judiciary is a branch that a lot of anti-federalists especially are very wary of, because this is the one that is the farthest away from the people. Now, first of all, Hamilton is going to respond to this, to the people of the state of New York, by responding that it's basically the same way most of the states do it, including New York. Hamilton writes, "According to the plan of the convention, all judges who may be appointed by the United States are to hold their offices during good behavior, which is conformable to most of the state constitutions and, among the rest, to that of this state." So basically, if the Anti-Federalists are pitching the good behavior as a novel idea, well, look at how we already do it in the state. So you're freaking out about something that you already allow to happen in the state. So this is nothing new, Alexander Hamilton says. So it's okay that we have this. We did not generate something. And a lot of Anti-Federalists were asking, why would we want to give so much power to these people who are unelected and far away from the people and serve during good behavior? They can be on there for the rest of their lives. Why do we want to give these people so much power? Well, Alexander Hamilton, always the gifted rhetorician, has an answer for that. That branch isn't going to be that powerful. Okay, we can take a minute to laugh, but looking in hindsight, we can see some things that they couldn't. Right now, the Anti-Federalists could see this coming, but Alexander Hamilton says, check this out. Hamilton writes, "Whoever attentively considers the different departments of power must perceive that in a government in which they are separated from each other, the judiciary will always be the least dangerous to the political rights of the Constitution, because it will be least in a capacity to annoy or injure them. The executive not only dispenses the honors, but holds the sword of the community. The legislature not only commands the purse, but prescribes the rules by which the duties and rights of every citizen are to be regulated. The judiciary, on the contrary, has no influence over either the sword or the purse, no direction either of the strength or of the wealth of the society, and can take no active resolution whatever." Ha, ha. Now, Hamilton is basically right, but what we have seen over the past 200 plus years is that the judiciary has become arguably the most powerful branch. Now, notice that Hamilton is never going to say anything in Federalist 78 about judicial review, which is not written into the Constitution. Remember, judicial review is used for the first time in 1803 in Marbury v. Madison, which is one of your 15 Supreme Court cases. But in this case, Hamilton is saying that it's going to be the least dangerous. You don't have to worry about it. So that is the answer that Hamilton offers, is that it's really not going to be all that powerful, so you don't have to worry about it. Of course, history says otherwise, but they didn't have that. So with that, just keep that in mind, that in Federalist 78, Hamilton is writing about how an independent judiciary can be a good thing. After all, if judges were sitting on the bench that had to be reelected, or if they could have their salaries reduced, if they were any way dependent on the legislative or the presidency or directly accountable to election by the people, then you see them getting involved in the political process. So Hamilton's arguing that with this system that is in place by the Constitution, you have judges that are not going to be politically oriented, and that's a good thing. Now, of course, when we look forward and see what ends up happening, the judiciary is probably a bit more politicized and definitely more powerful than anybody ever really foresaw. But again, Hamilton says you don't have to worry about it. Now, one place where he is correct is that the judiciary has enjoyed the support of the executive for the most part. There is, of course, the famous saying by Andrew Jackson after one of John Marshall's decisions: John Marshall has made his decision, now let him enforce it. Now, that's also a concern during the Marbury v. Madison case that John Marshall had to think about. What if I try to force the executive to do this? Will I get away with it? So with that, nobody saw what was coming. But Alexander Hamilton promised us that the judiciary will be the least dangerous branch. Is it? You decide. It's always a pleasure.